Suppose we have a do loop. And some condition here. And assume that we have several steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. Suppose that between steps 1 and 2, we check a condition which, if true, causes us to exit the loop. Then we set a variable C1 to true. So we write here, if condition is true, C1 is set to true. Else, we put the rest of the steps in the else part. And we do similar things here. If some other condition is true, we set C2 to true. Else, we put the rest of the loop, the rest of the steps under the else part. Again, if condition is true, C3 is set to true. Else, we perform step 4. So whenever we have a condition that causes us to exit the loop, we simply set a variable, in this case C1 for the first condition, C2 for the second condition, and C3 for the third condition, to the true value. And the rest of the body of the loop is executed conditionally. What we need to figure out is the exit condition. If any of the 3 Boolean variables is true, we must quit the loop. In other words, the loop must be continued only if all of the 3 variables are false. So the condition here would be while not C1 and not C2 and not C3. And what we need to do is also set C1, C2, and C3 to false before entering the loop. An analogy may be helpful here. Imagine that this is a railway track running from top to bottom, and then again with a track attaching the bottom part to the top part. So this is corresponding to a loop. Assume that a train runs from this starting point given here to the point over here, and then quickly returns to the starting point and again run through this track, going back and repeating the process. So this is very much like a loop. So this is the normal route of the train. There are 3 places in this loop or in this track where we have exits. So there are tracks here at exit 1, exit 2, and exit 3, using which the train can be diverted from the loop. So from the normal route. So these are like exits from a loop. So when we see that the train has to be diverted from this point, one way would be to adjust the rails so that they are connected to the track and the train gets diverted through this exit or this exit or this exit, depending upon which one is connected to the. An analogy may be helpful here. Imagine a train running through a railway track. So here is a railway track starting at this point, then going straight up to this point, and then there is a return path or there is a return track going back to the starting point. So the train normally runs from the starting point, runs all the way to the bottom. This is the ending point, and quickly returns to the starting point. So this is very much like a loop. You go all the way from the top of the loop, from the top of the body of the loop to the end of the loop, and then iterate again. Similarly, this train is going through these normal route and then going back to the starting point and running again. Imagine that there are three places at which the train could be diverted. So there are tracks here shown at exit 1, exit 2, and exit 3. So if for some reason we need to divert the train from the normal route, we need to adjust these tracks so that the train can be diverted here. Or it could be that the train is diverted here, or it could be that the train is diverted at the third point. Instead of that, we could do the following. We could abolish these two exits and just have a single exit. So this is very much like a loop in which we want to exit at multiple places, but we don't want the program to exit right at the point at which it sees that the loop should be discontinued. So instead of that, what we are going to do here for the railway track is to have a couple of switches at exits 1 and 2 respectively. So there is a switch at exit 1, there is a switch at exit 2. So if it is necessary to divert the train from the normal route, what we do is we set the switch here. We close the switch so that the track can be adjusted at this point so that the train can be diverted here. Or if the train has to be diverted from this point, what we do is we again set the switch so that the train would eventually get diverted through this exit.